Östersund, Sweden has been the season opener location for the IBU World Cup for 16 of the last 20 seasons. The single mixed and mixed relays kick things off on day number 1. The favored home team, Sweden, got off to a rocky start as Sebastian Samuelsson struggled to get his standing targets down, putting Sweden way back in 17th place, 35 seconds behind after just the first leg. But Hanna Öberg would put the Swedish duo all the way back up to 3rd place by her exchange. In his second crack at the course, Samuelsson righted the ship, shooting a perfect 10 for 10 and tagging Öberg with a lead of 17.3 seconds ahead of Sturla Lagrad of Norway at the final exchange. Öberg would then dispose of Norway's Juni Arneklev to win by 13.8 seconds, with France in 3rd. Team USA had a strong performance right out of the gates, with the team of Sean Doherty and Dieter Irwin taking 8th. Doherty got things going with a perfect 5 for 5 in the prone position and left the range in 5th place, and putting USA right in the mix, only to use 3 extra rounds from standing, dropping them to 12th, 26.8 seconds behind the leaders Austria. Dieter Irwin then shot perfectly in her first 10 shots, moving the team back up to 9th by the second exchange, just 26.6 seconds out of the lead. As the pressure to deliver on the opening event of the season grew, so too did the misses. Irwin would start her second stint on course with 2 quick misses from prone, but from there, didn't miss a shot the rest of the way, shooting 38 for 40 on the day, crossing the US in a very respectable 8th place at the finish line, just over a minute back of the winners. Margie Fried started biathlon just over a year ago and gave us a peek into her new life as a biathlete competing now at the highest level.
Right now we're in Östersund, which I've never been to Sweden before. It's very Scandinavian style, getting that Scandi style. Even inside the house, we've been doing a puzzle. I mean, it's so classy. After training as a cross-country skier for many years, I've slowly made a transition to doing more biathlon. I did the Utah World Cup trial races in October and qualified for the IBU Cup / World Cup teams. And oh, that was a bird. Then we did a little training camp and did a qualification race where I ended up qualifying for the World Cup team. So that's where I am now on the World Cup.
This is a cool look, maybe? With the hat over the...
Oh yeah, that's definitely a look, Margie.
Later that day, the team of Maxime Germain, Jake Brown, Kelsey Dickinson, and Margie Fried in her first World Cup start finished 15th on the day, with 10 extra rounds and a penalty loop. France took the win with Norway in 2nd and Germany 3rd.
We just did our relay. Only 1 penalty loop, which was awesome for me. A complete chaos from beginning to end though. Warm-up chaos, cool down. I did not know where to go at all, but we had fun.
The individual event hands out 1-minute penalties for each of the 20 shots, but the chunks of time left on the shooting range still came down to the narrowest of margins in the women's 15-kilometer individual in Östersund. Italy's Lisa Vitozzi set the tone early in bib 11, leading at the finish with a miss on the day. Germany's Franziska Preuss rode a clean shooting performance to charge from bib 57 to lead by 11.7 seconds, leaving the final shooting stage. But her lead dropped to just 5.1 seconds at the 13.5K mark, then dwindled down to just 2.2 seconds with a half a kilometer to the finish. Vitozzi's time would stand up to the smallest measure of time allowed by the rules, 1/10 of a second. Vanessa Voigt took her second career podium to put 2 Germans on the podium in this women's 15K. For Team USA, Kelsey Dickinson led the Americans with 19 for 20 on the shooting range and a career best 36th place to lead the American contingent, with Dieter Irwin 9/10 of a second behind her in 37th with 3 penalties. Jackie Garzo finished 85th in her 3rd World Cup start, while Margie Fried finished 93rd in her first career World Cup individual start.
I cleaned the first stage ever in a race. The rest of them were okay. Couple 2s and 3s misses, but attitude stays positive.
In the men's 20K individual, the German men picked up where the women left off just hours before, but did one better. Roman Reis took his maiden World Cup victory with a single miss on the day, while Justus Strelo also hit 19 to make it a 1-2 finish for the Germans, turning the Östersund Stadium into a German festival. Johannes Tingesbø was unable to overcome 2 penalty minutes, finishing 3rd, 25 seconds too slow. for the win. For Team USA, Sean Doherty led the way in 48th with 3 missed shots on the day. Jake Brown finished 67th with 5 misses, while Maxime Germain missed 4 and finished 71st. Campbell Wright, coming back from illness, finished in 98th with 2 penalties. In the women's relay, a young Norwegian team proved too strong for pre-race and hometown favorites, Sweden. Johansson, scrambling in her first World Cup relay start ever, seemed like she'd been doing the job for years, taking essentially tied with France for the lead. From there, Norway wouldn't fall too far out of contention the rest of the way, leading after the second exchange and trailing Sweden in second by 23.4 seconds in the final exchange. Tandervold would take over and emerge onto the final shooting stage, rattling Swedish anchor Hanna Öberg, who led comfortably up to that point, capitalizing on Öberg going to the penalty loop to snatch the opening World Cup victory for the Norwegians. Sweden finished second, Germany third. Team USA finished 14th with 2 rookies in a World Cup relay in Jackie Garzo and Margie Fried. In the men's relay, the question remains if Norway can be beaten at all this season. Scrambling his second straight relay start in Östersund for Team Norway, Andres Strömsheim just needed to get the baton around to the Boo brothers. He did that, finished tagging in 7th at the first exchange, 16 seconds out of the lead, and Norway led the rest of the way, claiming a comfortable victory by 20 seconds over France, with 50 seconds over third place Germany. For Team USA, every athlete has a moment on the World Cup when they realize fully that they belong. The story for the US in this relay was 22-year-old Maxime Germain. He stood on the Junior World Championship podium last winter as a silver medalist in the junior men's sprint, but the World Cup is a whole new level. The pressure of scrambling is a special skill, one that Germain showed the world he was ready for in Östersund. He entered the first shooting stage in 7th spot, then left the range in 6th with an extra round. He would remain with the lead group in the second lap, entering the second shooting stage in the middle of the lead pack of 6. A fast, clean shooting put Germain 0.4 of a second out of the lead, leaving the shooting range, ultimately taking Sean Doherty in third, 10 seconds off the lead. The US would fall back though on the third leg with several penalty loops, and finish the day in 15th with 11 missed shots and 3 loops. But Germain's scramble leg resonated for the US men's team for the future in this event. In the women's 7.5 kilometer sprint, the parity of this budding season really came to the fore as many of the best known stars missed, while others shot well but simply got outskied by the upstarts. 25-year-old Frenchwoman Lou Jean-Monod in her 4th World Cup season got her first victory in her 46th start off of a perfect shooting score. Despite a miss, Norway's Carolina Noten shot the fastest of the field to erase a portion of the 1 penalty loop she skied to take a personal best second, 8.1 seconds back, while countrywoman Juni Arnekleiv took her first podium in her 14th start of the World Cup, also with a single missed shot. For the Americans, Dieter Irwin led the efforts in 39th with 1 miss from the standing position and a solid ski performance, posting the 24th fastest time on the course. She would advance to Sunday's pursuit. Margie Fried in her 4th World Cup start shot 7 for 10 to finish 75th. Kelsey Dickinson finished in 80th and Jackie Garzo finished 97th.
Although I didn't make the pursuit, I was happy with my performance out there in the sprint. I had a decent day for my shooting score, missing 1 and then 2, but my shooting time is pretty slow compared to everybody else. Yet again, I was dead last in shooting time overall, but that gives me something to work on and something to look forward to. I've been super humbled by everybody on the World Cup, and so it's been an awesome time to get to compete against all of them, and I'm really happy to be a part of it all.
Fried, in her 4th ever World Cup start, shared her experience in Östersund, posting on Instagram, "It's like a 5,000 piece puzzle. It takes a while, but maybe if it's on the table long enough and others will help, it will come together." In an absolute roller coaster of a men's 10K sprint, late starting Philip Navrath, a veteran who has spent much of his biathlon career bouncing between the IBU Cup and the World Cup, kept the German resurgence in Östersund alive with a brilliant, clean shooting win by a remarkable margin of 18.7 seconds over Norwegian veteran Tarjei Bø, who was also perfect on the shooting range. 25-year-old Norwegian Vebjørn Sørum took his first podium finish in just his 7th World Cup start, also with a perfect shooting score. For Team USA, Sean Doherty led the way, overcoming 2 misses from the prone position, shooting clean from standing to finish 48th, the exact same spot he held earlier in the week in the 20K individual. Jake Brown finished 10 spots back and just inside the top 60 to qualify for the pursuit, finishing 58th with 3 penalty loops. Maxime Germain missed 1 shot from each position to finish in 76th in his 19th World Cup start. In the women's 10-kilometer pursuit, sprint winner Lou Jean Monod of France used a measured skiing effort and perfect shooting performance to claim a thrilling sprint finish victory, the second for her in as many days. The lead group wouldn't change until a third shooting as all 5 cleaned the second stage. Preuss made what appeared to be the victorious move around Jean Monod on the biggest climb, and it looked like Germany would get yet another victory. But Jean Monod slowly clawed back the gap to Preuss, and as they entered the stadium, she disposed of the German down the finishing stretch to win her second World Cup of the week. For Preuss, the 0.3 of a second loss marked the second of this Östersund opening week in which she missed victory by split seconds. Preuss's silver lining, however, is that she ended the day still holding on to the yellow World Cup leaders bib by 3 points over Jean Monod. The lone woman on the women's pursuit was Deidre Irwins to finish in the 36th spot, 3 places ahead of where she started. In the men's 12.5-kilometer pursuit, Sebastian Samuelsson of Sweden rode a wave of spectacular ski form to overcome the 26-second deficit he started with, as well as 3 penalty loops, willing his way to the victory for the home team, the 5th of his career. Christensen hung on for third, 2 seconds further back of Navrath for the final podium spot. Navrath, however, retained the World Cup overall leader's yellow bib by a single point over Samuelsson as the World Cup now moves to Hochfilzen, Austria. For Team USA, the 2 Americans' divergent paths to the finish line found them together in the final lap, with Doherty finishing 51st and Brown 52nd, a half a second separating the 2. It's a long road to the IBU Biathlon World Cup finale in Canmore, Alberta this March. Stay up to date with the US Biathlon team for World Cup recaps all season long. Until next week from Hochfilzen, Austria, for US Biathlon, I'm Chad Salmela.
I feel like a super vlogger.